as has been already mentioned in the CSA's brochure, so very quickly I'll take you through this. The CM, which is the combined ECA merit, will be based on the 25% of your CUET score and 75% of your ECA score. We have been getting queries कि ये कैसे calculate होगा, हमारा CET score तो 800 में से है, 650 में से है, and all such queries. So you have all learned the process of somebody has been asking me, will you normalize? No, at University of Delhi, we do not normalize any score. We do not touch with your scores. You all have learned the unitary method in your lower class maths. We only adopt that unitary method. So whatever has been marked out of 800, 650, whatever, it will all be taken as the base of 25. And the ECS score will be out of 75. So combining these two will be getting the score out of 100. Or we may adopt the opposite method. We may scale up rather than scaling down. So the ECS score, which is out of 75, that may be graded up to 800. And all your CUET scores may be graded up to 800. So that will be your marks out of 1600. So whatever be the nomenclature or the methodology adopted, we will not be normalizing anything. We will only be adopting the unitary method to arrive at the uniform CEM score, which will be used to prepare your merit. So at this point, we get a number of queries कि मेरी friend का या मेरे acquaintance का तो मेरे से कम ECA score था, लेकिन उसको मुझसे better college allocate हो गया है. See, it's not just about the ECA score. It also has to do about your CUET score. So if your difference of ECA score is only of 1 mark, but your friend or your acquaintance makes up for that in the CUET score by say 2 to 3 marks, then obviously that candidate will be placed higher up in the merit ranking than you would be placed at. So please don't discuss things or write up queries in isolation. Consider the entire picture in totality before you draw up any conclusion that something unfair has happened to you, because every candidate starts feeling at a point of time that I have been dealt with unfairly. Believe me, everything is being done in a very transparent, in a very fair manner. We are totally equitable. All candidates are equal for us. We are not, no biases are involved at any point in time here. For the NCC and the NSS, the ECA scores of only 75 marks are considered. There is no physical trial component. Same way for them also, the CM will be drawn up, where again, please consider because last year we did have queries wherein the screenshots of the NCC and the NSS scores were sent to us saying that, look at this, the NCC score of this candidate was lower than me. Still, the college has been allocated, which was higher up in my preference ranking. How can this be? It is being done unfairly, because it takes you a minute to immediately allege that it is being done unfairly. Please do not write such mails. Please consider things in totality. Again, as I said, the CUET score might have been higher, might have been, or must. It would definitely have been higher if you think that a college which was higher up in your ranking has been awarded to somebody who was, say, featuring lower in the ECA score. So you are not aware of the entire situation of the candidate, the other candidate. You are not aware of their CUET scores. So please be aware of the total picture. That is how the CM ranking, the merit ranking, is drawn up for the ECA category as also for the sports category. Then coming on to the seat allocation, as I just said, it will be 25% of your highest program specific CUET score and 75% of your highest ECA score. Then additionally, the candidate must have scored at least 30 marks out of the 75 in the given ECA category to be considered for the admission in the particular ECA category. Then again, the allocations will be followed in the same manner as is being done for the general admissions, that your ranking, then your preferences, and then the availability of seats is what is going to determine whether you will be allocated a particular ECA seat in a particular college. And candidates who have not opted for ECA seats, it will be only once you opt for the ECA seats, they will have to accept that seat to be considered for upgradation, if any, that the ECA category brings out with. Regular procedure for upgrading and freezing shall be here. Now, with all humility at my command, I am borrowing, I have used this slide which has been borrowed from the Dean Admissions press conference presentation, because the allocation process is the same and we are getting a number of queries regarding that. So I will just address that before I close my session here. So just as you do for your any other allocation, let's call that the general allocation. So same goes for the ECA category as well. If you do not accept it, then it may get rejected or it may get approved. If you do not do any action, then that means you are not willing to accept the offer of the ECA seat that has been made to you. Now, at this point, what it means is this point here, that you will not be considered for subsequent allocations in the, here it will be for the ECA rounds. What this means is that आपकी general की seat जो आपको दे रखी है, वो आपके पास रहेगी if you do not accept the ECA seat that has been allocated to you. आप लोग जनरल की अपग्रेड एंड सब्सिक्वेंट राउंड्स में एप्लीकेबल रहोगे, रेगुलर राउंड्स जो है, लेकिन आप उस सुपर न्यूमररी ईसीए की एलोकेशन से बाहर हो जाओगे. Similarly, if you accept the ECA allocation, now look, what is the situation under which, because most of the queries are coming on this aspect only. See, what is the situation under which you will be accepting the ECA allocation? Say you have given your 20 preferences. Up to the time the ECA allocation is announced, you would have been given your general allocation, or let us assume that you have not been given. So here we are taking the case that you've been allocated something. So say in the regular rounds, you have been allocated up to your 12th preference, which means the top 11 preferences are still available for you where you have preferred them. ECA is not going to be looking at what you have been allocated in the general list. So you may get a college which is among your 1 to 11 or your 12th itself, or maybe which is lower down from the 12th. So in that case, if it is 12th or below 12th, obviously you are not going to accept that, because you are anyway, have been allocated something better, as we call it Pareto optimality, in the situation through the general regular rounds. Now, in that case, you will be out of the ECA allocation process, but you will continue to be in the regular allocation rounds. But you will be accepting, now let us come on to the case, you will be accepting the ECA allocation, which means you have been allocated a college through ECA, which is among your top 1 to 11. Now, which is what means is that you have been allocated better than what you were allocated earlier. So you have chosen that thing. Now, if you're out of the general allocations, but you have anyway been allocated better, you will be applicable for the upgrades in the ECA category. So if you choose to have an upgrade here, it will only be from among the colleges which are offering your category seat in the preference list that you have drawn up. So please carefully choose what you have to do at this stage. There should be no confusion in any candidate's mind, whether I'll be considered for the regular round as well, if I choose the ECA seat, whether if I choose the ECA seat, my regular admission will be retained. No, it will not be retained. Your regular admission will be dropped. Then only will your ECA allocation be, once you have accepted it, the general allocation, you will be out of that. So same goes for the upgrade option also. Again, I have borrowed it from the Dean Admissions presentation. I am extremely thankful to you for that, ma'am. So here again, if it has been taken as in, if you take an upgrade, then you will be upgraded in the ECA category alone, not appearing, not taking up, accepting the word as accept. The ECA allocation would not make you fall out of the general rounds that are being done by the admission branch. All allocations are independent of each other. So coming on to the common FAQs before I close my presentation. Now here, if I choose accept, this is what I have just mentioned and I'm repeating it here, that if I choose to accept my ECA allocation, will I be considered for upgrade in the general or regular rounds, whatever the nomenclature that the admission branch uses? No, in that case, as I just mentioned, if you choose to accept a seat in the given supernumerary quota, you shall be considered for upgrades only in that supernumerary quota. Second point, second FAQ that we usually get is that I've already gotten my choice of college and program, which I just explained to you through the 12th preference that I talked about. Then what happens if I don't appear for trials for this or for any other reason for that matter? Then, as I just said, EC allocations are independent of your other allocations. If you do not appear for trials, you are not eligible for ECA allocations. But for all other allocations, for all other the regular rounds and the other supernumerary quotas you may or may not have applied through, you are eligible for all of that. Then, as I just mentioned, I do not accept my ECA allocation. What will happen? Just that you will not be considered for further upgradations in the ECA allocations. You will be considered for the general rounds, as has just been explained. And once I have taken admission, as sir also just specified and emphasized for the sports category, if you take admission on the basis of ECA, Yes, you are obliged to take part in the given ECA activities and events for all 4 years of your undergrad college life. 4 years, 1 year, 2 years, since we are under the NEP, you may choose to exit, multiple exit options are there. So if you choose to exit at any point, till that time you're an undergrad student of the university, you're an undergrad student of the University of Delhi, you will be obliged to take part in the college and ECA activities of the university as and when called upon.
So I think it was a very elaborate presentation which was given by Professor Teneja, and she had also taken a lot of frequently asked questions which were there. So although she has already mentioned, but one thing I would like to tell you that when you are making your preference list, as Professor Teneja has also mentioned, that please look at the colleges that what are they offering in ECA. It sometimes it happens that you are desiring for some program, but that is not being offered by a particular college. So that has to be ensured, I think, and I think the same goes for sports admissions also. And there is just one thing which I would like to tell you, that if you have been allocated your first preference in round one, I think then there is no point waiting for sports and EC allocation, because you can't go higher than that. So if you already get your first preference, you can be just seeking admission from that category, and you can pay your fees. So although a lot has been clarified, but there are just few questions. I'll just take it up quickly. One was about NSS and NCC. So although you have already mentioned that there'll be no trials, but then I think still there is some confusion that how are you going to make the list then? So if you can clarify.
Yeah, thank you, Anandji. As has been mentioned in the CSAS brochure as well, there is a given specific criteria where there are criteria criteria A, B, C, D, E, which have been specified. Now, I'm not sharing the document again. CSAS brochure has that very pointed out that how would you be given marks under the NCC category as well as under the NSS category. So on your end, based on the certificates that you have uploaded, you can tentatively calculate how much marks would you get out of 75. Now, the ECA evaluating team would be doing that for your certificates, which you have already uploaded. So say in your calculation, you have thought that it should be a 60 marks out of 75, whereas the committee has given you, say, an award of 55 marks. Then please upload it on the grievance window, which I just mentioned will be open, that according to this and this criteria, I should be getting these many marks, but I have been given lesser marks. Which is again a very unlikely situation, because the committee is also looking very carefully at the certificates. But if in case there is that is why the grievance window has been opened up. So you put up a query in that given time frame, and the branch will address that whether there should be a change or not. Same goes for NSS as well, that the criteria has been clearly uploaded. And then, as I just explained, 25% marks will be taken up from your CUET score, 75% from your this NCC or NSS score. The merit list will be drawn up and allocations will be made as per the allocation rules that have been explained.